Today, we're diving into a story of hope that comes from one of history's really dark moments. It's often described as a pearl, something beautiful, gleaming against a jet black background. This is the story of Ruth. So, to really appreciate the pearl, you first have to understand the darkness surrounding it. The story of Ruth is set during the time of the Judges, which were basically the dark ages of Israel's history. And this quote, it just captures the mood perfectly. There was no central leadership, so you had all this tribal conflict, moral confusion, basically chaos. And it's this chaotic, anything-goes world that makes the story we're about to tell shine so, so brightly. And really, that's the question at the very heart of this story. Right in the middle of this huge national crisis, this small, intimate drama unfolds, and it shows us how individual choices of loyalty and faith that seem so insignificant at the time, can end up changing everything. Now, you might think a story of hope starts with something positive, but this one doesn't. It begins with tragedy, with a family from Bethlehem making a choice born out of pure desperation. So, a famine hits the Promised Land, and a man named Elimelech decides to take his wife, Naomi, and their 2 sons to a foreign country, Moab. What's crazy is the irony in their names. Elimelech means, "My God is king," but he's leaving the very land where God is supposed to be king. His wife, Naomi, her name means pleasant, but her story is about to become anything but. And their 2 sons, Mahlon and Kilian, their names mean sickly and frail, and sadly, they really live up to those names. What was supposed to be a plan for survival just turns into a list of losses. Over the next 10 years, Naomi's husband dies. Then, her 2 sons, who had married local Moabite women, they die too. She is left a widow, with 2 widowed daughters-in-law in a foreign land, and she has absolutely nothing left. Her future is just gone. So when Naomi finally makes her way back to Bethlehem, her grief is just all-consuming. She tells her old friends, "Don't call me Naomi, pleasant anymore. Call me Mara," which means bitter. She feels completely crushed and abandoned by God. But here's the thing, the great irony. She isn't really empty-handed. Her daughter-in-law, Ruth, is with her. But in her despair, Naomi can't see it. To her, Ruth is just another reminder of everything she's lost, not the key to everything she's about to gain. And this brings us to the first major turning point in the whole story. It's a choice that honestly defies all logic and reason. On the road back to Judah, Naomi tells both of her daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth, to just go back home. Go back to your own people, your own gods, find a new life. And Orpah, she makes the totally logical choice. She cries, she kisses Naomi goodbye, and she heads back home to find a new husband and a secure future. But Ruth does something absolutely radical. She clings to Naomi. And this is her incredible declaration. This isn't just a promise, it's a complete transfer of her entire identity. She is giving up her country, her culture, her family, and her gods to follow a poor, bitter old woman into a land where she will be a complete outsider. This single, powerful act of faith is the engine that drives the rest of the story. So the 2 widows get to Bethlehem right at the beginning of the barley harvest. And that little detail, that's the first hint that God's perfect timing is at work here. To get some food for them, Ruth goes out to glean leftover grain from the fields, which was kind of like a welfare system for the poor back then. And wouldn't you know it, she just happens to pick a field belonging to a man named Boaz. Now for Ruth, it probably felt like a total coincidence, but the narrator is winking at us, making it clear this is no accident. This is God working quietly behind the scenes. So who is this Boaz guy? Well, he's not just some rich landowner. Turns out he's a close relative of Naomi's late husband. And in an age of total chaos, he is a man of incredible integrity and character. He greets his workers with a blessing and, as we soon find out, he's already heard all about Ruth's amazing loyalty to Naomi. Boaz shows Ruth this extraordinary kindness. He tells his workers to protect her and to even leave extra grain for her to find. In a single day, she gathers about 30 pounds of barley. To put that in perspective, that's like half a month's wages. When Naomi sees this haul, she knows this wasn't just luck. This was an act of profound grace. And seeing this amazing act of kindness, it sparks a huge idea in Naomi's mind, an idea that centers on a really important legal and cultural custom. This concept is called the kinsman redeemer, or goel in Hebrew. This was a close male relative who had a legal and social duty to protect the interests of his family. This could mean buying back land that had been sold or, and this is the crucial part, marrying a widow who had no children to provide an heir and continue the family line. Suddenly, Naomi realizes Boaz is one of their redeemers. So Naomi comes up with this incredibly audacious plan. She tells Ruth to go to the threshing floor at night, wait until Boaz is asleep, and then lie down at his uncovered feet. Now, this wasn't some scandalous act of seduction, not at all. It was a deeply symbolic and really bold gesture. By placing herself at his feet, she was formally and humbly asking him to spread his wing over her, to claim her and her family's future under his protection as a kinsman redeemer. Boaz is blown away, totally honored by her request. But being a man of integrity, he reveals there's a problem, a complication. He's not actually the closest kinsman redeemer. There's another guy who has the first right of refusal, and Boaz, being the man he is, has to offer him the opportunity first. So the story builds to this incredible climax at the city gate, which was the ancient courthouse, and everything now hangs on a public, legal negotiation. Boaz gets the town elders together and confronts the other kinsmen. First, he offers him the chance to buy Naomi's land. The guy immediately says yes, it's a good investment. But then Boaz adds the all-important condition: whoever redeems the land also has to marry Ruth the Moabitess to carry on her dead husband's name. The kinsman instantly backs out. He says it would ruin his own inheritance. And just like that, the way is cleared. Boaz steps in and publicly claims his right to redeem both the land and Ruth. It's just brilliant. And this moment shows the complete 180-degree reversal of Naomi's fate. The women of the town, the same ones who pitied her when she arrived, they're now celebrating with her. They tell her that Ruth, this foreign woman, has been better to her than 7 sons, which was the ultimate symbol of perfect fullness and blessing. The woman who called herself empty is now completely full. But wait, the story doesn't end there. Boaz and Ruth get married, and they have a son named Obed. And this is where their small personal story just explodes onto the stage of world history. You see, Obed becomes the father of Jesse, and Jesse becomes the father of David. And that is the stunning punchline. This intimate story about loss, loyalty, and redemption becomes the origin story for Israel's greatest king, a Moabite widow, an outsider from a rival nation, through one radical act of faith, gets woven into the very fabric of history. It was her commitment, not her background, that truly mattered. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? The story of Ruth shows how these seemingly ordinary acts of loyalty and kindness, guided by a faith that might not make sense at the time, can have an absolutely extraordinary and unforeseen impact on the future. And it challenges us to wonder, how might our own small choices, our own acts of faithfulness be part of a much, much bigger story that we can't even see yet?